8 o'clock in the morning and this river looks more like a lake.
Start out my little presentation by saying, welcome to Shaka Khan. You're not lost. You're not really in Shaka Khan, you're in Burlington. By the earliest inhabitants, the Native Americans, translation of Shaka Khan was Flint Hills, which of course reflected the abundance of that mineral, which was in great abundance around this area, and of course an important resource for the Native peoples. Also the Iowa Army ammunition plant, which is actually located a few miles west of here.
Major supplier of ammunition to the military.
Hard to say, the Northfield Park area was the site of many Burlington's first, and one of the interesting stories concerning Northfield Park, it was the site of a trial and then a subsequent hanging in the early years of this little hamlet park. But one of the interesting aspects of that is, shortly after that, the newly formed Iowa State Legislature passed a law, of course the hanging is, banning public executions.
By a young man by the name of William Garret. He married in 1848, moved in 1851, continuously occupied by 3 generations of that family. His oldest daughter, Jessie, married Edward Phelps, so that's how you get that Phelps name. It was also the site of the first hospital from about 1896 to 1901. When it no longer was used as a hospital, daughter Jessie moved in with her family. There were 3 daughters who never ever married, and they lived here as spinsters, as they did a very nice job of keeping up the house.
Nice dining room table. Very bright floral wallpaper. 12 sets of china. This is a very pretty set. Typical Victorian living room. With a nice old quilt and another floral wallpaper. It's an ancient old treadle sewing machine. Wow. And another nice quilt. Beautiful period dresses from people were born in 1902. And someone was quite small. They're all dressed for a ball. Oh, this is the ballroom. And look at the old organ. Nursing students lived up here. Patients a few feet from where the nurses slept. Of course, the doctor was a man. Graduates from 1942. They may have worked with the military. They were nursing in 1972 and 73. And they're still wearing nurses' caps. The doctor from World War I. Alley, they consider it the crookedest street in the world, and it is open to vehicles. Now these are sharper turns than Lombard Street, but it is shorter. The street is nicely landscaped, as is Lombard.
You can imagine a horse-drawn wagon or carriage, the horses trying to make their way up that, was done that way to provide them with some traction.
And yesterday in Hannibal and here in Burlington, we see lots of these flower pots with seasonal flowers. These are cannas.
Observe some of those historical homes. The importance of it is it provides one of the most scenic overlooks of the entire length of the Mississippi River.
This is Des Moines County Heritage Center. Here's some tall grasses and other native flowers. Used to be the library. Heritage Museum. Beautiful old building.
Did you get everything you needed?
Ready to go.
Beautiful stained glass window. told me that the floor up here is all glass. Used to kind of freak him out going up into the stacks that now have memorabilia and it appears to be off limits. Originally was the library. Beautiful library. Look at the ceiling in here. To me, like fossilized animals. This is what they once looked like. 1999 Remington typewriter. Here's an exhibit with the Native Americans. Some nice jars here. Put together a nice doll collection.
Yeah. Yeah, Pamela has that one, I think.
This is a little playhouse for the children. How cute. Quite a collection of duck decoys down here. Mississippi Flyway, where the birds look like they follow the rivers down to Florida for the winter. I suppose this was on the spirit of the Miss Lily. Oh, USN ship's bell. Chop on ice in the winter to store it up to have cold drinks in the summertime. A couple of dugout canoes. Exhibit on the tall grass prairie. Every now and then the Indians would set fire to the prairie so that there was low stuff for animals that they like to eat, feed on. It says that the roots went way down 15 feet below your feet to reach for water to survive drought. The unbelievably crooked must-see Burlington landmark. Ripley's Believe It or Not. And these brooks were made in Burlington. Down the river, massive amounts of cargo are transferred on these barges. They hook them all together and make a huge, big, long train propelled by one small boat. The barges can tie up to these, whatever they are, because there's nothing on the shore there and the bottom isn't, they don't have anchors on them. Here's the largest group of barges. They're all lashed together side to side and end to end. Then there's some sort of a business up there. I haven't seen anything on the east bank of the Mississippi hardly since we left. There's been a few houses on stilts. Here's quite a community. Notice how they're all on stilts. That's because this river flood. It's definitely farmland. We've got a dam and a lock just ahead. There's the only one I've seen that's on stilts, but they've closed the bottom end. Looks like these guys are going to do the same thing. Here are some silos. There's more silos. More silos in the distance. I think there's miles and miles and miles of corn out there. In the evening, we just happened to see this contraption floating down the river.